Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjanan Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurum Vande Saranyam Bhaktavandavam Gauramanovistam Purnam Radhadasyam Pradayakam Rupandugacharya Varyambu Rupa Manjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Bandavam Yugacharya Narayanam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismera Hasara Murali Manohara Radhikara Sika Maham Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Brindai Tulasi Devi Ai Priyai Keshava Sacha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramaradhatama Shri Guru Pada Padma Nitrila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Astotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudeva, and to my worshipable Shiksha and Sannyasa Guru Nitrila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Astotara Sata Srimad Srila Bhakti Vijnana Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shri Rupano Gaudiya Guru Varga, to all Tridandi Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. So continue reading the article of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur regarding how to respect and honor properly the Vaishnavas, and how to avoid committing blasphemy, ninda towards them. So the difference between Srinama and Namabhasa and those who chant Namabhasa are not Vaishnavas. So the difference between Nam and Namabhasa is not the topic of our present deliberation. This shall be discussed specifically at another time. Herein this much can be said. When Krishna Nam is chanted with Shastriya Shraddha, faith in scripture, that is, with an alloyed surrender, that is Nama. When Nam is chanted with desires unrelated to making Krishna happy, Anyabhilashita, or when it is eclipsed by Jnana, dry impersonal knowledge, karma, reward-seeking action, vairagya, renunciation born of aversion, and so forth, it is namabhas. So this namabhas here has been defined. How? By the person who is chanting it without the proper understanding of what is Shuddha Bhakti. So this is very interesting. So here Shuddha Bhakti has been associated with Shuddha Nam, because all the conditions Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur put here to define are the definitions of Shuddha Bhakti, right? Nabilashita shunyam, jnana karmadyanavritam, anukulyena krishnanushalanam bhakti rutama. So those who are chanting without this proper standard of bhakti, they are chanting what? Namabhas. Okay? So although the chanting of Namabhas can award any result, even up to emancipation from the material energy or mukti, liberation, the Vaishnava only chants Shuddha Nam and is never inclined to chant any form of Namabhas. So, very interesting to understand this point. Here, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying very clear, we do not aspire for Namabhas. And we don't want the results of Namabhas. Sometimes we think that we have to grow from Namaparada to Namabhas, then to Shuddhanam. No, we don't want Namabhas. We want Shuddhanam. Namabhas is not giving the fruits of Shuddha Bhakti, and that's what we want. When Nam is chanted by one who has knowledge of his actual Swarup, who understands that Nam and Nami, means the name and the named, are non-different, and who has realized that Nama only makes his appearance upon the pure transcendental senses of the Jiva, only then it is Nam. So this is the absolute definition, right? When you have Sambandha Jnana, when you have the proper knowledge of relationship based on your soul and your Ishtadev. I'm not even putting the matter of what Ishtadev is that, because we can have also Shuddha Bhakti towards Lord Ram, and others. And also different manifestations of Krishna as well. But in any case, here Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur defines real Nam is chanted when there is this Sambandha Jnana. Means you know who is yourself, who are yourself. You know what is your actual Swarup. Means you know your spiritual identity, and you know what is your service to Krishna or to Bhagavan. And then you understand Nam is not different from Nami. Means Krishna is not different from Krishna name. So when you are chanting Krishna name, you are seeing Krishna in front of you. So this is the real name. Because name, in the absolute sense, he's Krishna himself. Right? So when that Nam appears on someone's tongue, even once, he becomes a Vaishnava. Also in the true, absolute definition of a Vaishnava. By the time Nam appears, all of one's fructified prarabdha and unfructified aprarabdha sins are destroyed. And along with the awakening of such Nam comes love of Godhead, means prema. So this is the proper definition and proper understanding of Nam, Namabhas, and Shuddha Nam in relation to the stages of the Vaishnavas. Now the next topic is, the Vaishnava who chants Shuddha Nam is endowed with all good qualities, is free of sins, and has no interest in pious or impious activities. That is the very difficult, most difficult point, I guess, for general people to understand the position of a Vaishnava saint when he denies to address certain social issues, for example, or to take action in some type of charity or any type or anything like that. And he remains somehow, indifferent to the problems of the material world. Because he's not more into performing pious or impious activities. If he can do something to help the afflicted jivas, he will do so through the means of bhakti. For instance, if he has to give food to people, he's going to give prasadam, not just food. If he has to give shelter, he will give them shelter in their temple so that they can follow, the proper Vaishnava, routine and things like that. Vaishnavas are not willing to just serve by the way or by the means that the Badajivas want. And that is a little bit difficult for people to understand, Many times we have seen examples like that. Although we also have heard from our Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada that it is needed somehow to do some type of charity. Okay, but in the ultimate sense, they haven't done much, right? So we see more things from the perspective of what they did in their lives. I'm giving another example just to justify that. When Srila Gurudev is sometimes saying, oh, the milk which comes from the industries, it's like meat because the cow is being slaughtered and suffered to give that milk. So Gurudev is agreeing with that person who is interviewing him and saying, yes, you're right. This milk is like meat and we should not drink this milk. But practically, Gurudeva never avoid that, even in his march or to the devotees himself, he never told, okay, don't buy this milk. No, on the contrary, he told what you should use and you should offer to Krishna. Krishna, he can purify everything, even poison. Like Prahlada Maharaj, he was offering his food, which was poisoned, to Krishna. And why he was saved? Because Krishna purified that. Krishna, he can purify everything, right? To give prasadam to his devotees. So in the same way, Vaishnavas are not interested in doing this type of social charity and all these things. My Parangurudev, he was once challenged by some locals, authorities like these MLA and majors of Mathura, when he opened this Keshavaji Gaudiya Math there. They came to him and say, look, there are so many street beggars and people living, homeless people. And you have a big place here and not many people living in. So you should take some people in so that we can relieve, the suffering, the burden of these homeless people and also the city. And Parangurudeva will say, okay, you can bring them, but make sure that you follow the routine of the temple. If they can follow that, I have no issue. And then the MLA say, okay, no problem. Of course, they will follow it. What is the difficulty? You just chanting, you just eating and sleeping. What is the matter? And Parangurudeva say, yeah, you can bring them, no problem. So they brought some guys, and I think one guy at first they brought, and then he told, oh, you stay here, you're gonna receive a lot of food, plenty food, like, place to sleep, bed, medicine, cloth, everything you need, they're gonna to provide you, and you're gonna be happy here, no need more to wander in the streets, suffering all types of things with dacoits, with, weather, this and that, and scarcity of food, many things. Okay. So then Parangurudeva told, yes, he can stay. And I'm telling you what is our routine and you have to follow that. They say, oh yes, definitely I follow everything. This is so nice, this and that. Hare Krishna, thank you, this and that. And they'll say, you have to wake up, before 4 o'clock. Be ready for Mangalarati with taking bath, putting tilak, dress properly, then come from Mangalarati. And after Mangalarati, you have to, also do kirtan and chant Nam, do japa, and then you have to attend the class. And after we're gonna have a breakfast. After that, you have to help cleaning the prasadam hall, this and that. And after you have to help doing other services around. And then you're gonna have lunch. Then again, after lunch, you have to come for kirtan, harikatha. And also after prasadam, you have to clean everything and do many types of services like that. So this is your daily schedule. You say, no, Baba, thank you so much. I prefer to go to the streets because there I can be totally relaxed. No need to do all these things I don't like. I just like to lie down because he's in Tamaguna, fully. We cannot expect different thing. And he say, okay, I do not, want to, stay here. Although he would have everything, right? So in this way, these types of pious or impious activities, of course, impious we're not doing, but the pious activities, which are like being performed as a charity or many things like that, it's not good, actually not beneficial in the true spiritual sense for the jivas. So in this way, Parangurudev also mentioned that, look, there are many hospitals, and these hospitals, they are taking care of people's body, and they are, giving them treatment and making them healthy. So suppose a murderer, he goes to the hospital, he will also get cured. And what will happen? He goes back to the society to again do his, bad activities. So that is not providing the real change that the society needs, the change in the heart, change of character. And that can only be done if the person becomes devoted, no matter in which religion. I mean, he has to be a really devotee, in a true sense. Means he has to fear God. He has to fear the consequences of his acts. He has to have a good moral, good ethics, and many things like that. So in this way, Vaishnavas are not interested. So in this way, those who are chanting Shuddhanam, I'm coming back to the title, those who are chanting Shuddhanam, endowed with all good qualities, they are free of sins, they're not committing any sin, as well as no interest in pious or impious activities. Srila Raghunatha Dasa Goswami also mentioned that in Manashiksha. Na dharmam shruti gani laktam kila kuru. Give up desire for pious or impious activities. So this is a very, very clear thing. Why is that actually? Because, if you make karma, either good or bad, you're going to become entangled because of the results of karma. So devotees, they're not willing to perform karma. They only want to perform bhakti. So those who are in a state of Shuddhanam, they don't want to retrograde, to move back. And those who are not in that level of consciousness, they feel, oh, these people, they are like cruel, they have no empathy for the suffering of the people. They start to, judge in so many different ways. But they have to consider one thing. These sadhus, these Vaishnavas, they are in the, the verge of like his last lives, maybe last life or few lives. He has done in the past so many good pious activities. Now he has no more necessity to engage in all these things, right? Also, Krishna says in the Manusmriti as well as Srimad Bhagavatam that those who are engaged in bhakti, they have no more any type of debt with family members, society, devas, devatas in general, and forefathers. They have no more indebtedness for them. So they don't need to perform any type of karma kanda ritual to please all these people. So it means any type of pious activity. They have no need for that. Krishna is going to award them the ultimate, destination if they are performing bhakti. So it looks like from a materialistic point of view, there's a type of cruelty or insensitiveness. I don't know if this word is there in English, but someone who has not sensibility or empathy for the sufferings of others. But it is not so, not like so.
Like indifferent, maybe.
Sorry?
Like indifferent, maybe, is indifferent to the others.
Indifferent, like, yeah, looks like. But the thing is, by their performance of Shuddhanam, they're actually purifying the whole universe, and all the sins of, and like when a pure devotee goes to a tirtha, to a pilgrimage place, and he takes bath there, he purifies all that tirtha. And that tirtha again is able to purify more people. Because tirtha also has a limit, If you go to a lake, for example, like Pushkar, it's a famous lake. In the past, it was one of the greatest, place of pilgrimage because Pushkar can clean all your sins. It also has a limit. It has to be also purified. But by whom? By the pure devotee. And that is why Nityananda Prabhu has traveled around India to purify all these places. That's why our Guru Varga, they also go because this is a type of social service as well. And when they are delivering this harikatha, powerful harikatha, their remnants, their prasadam, their food, water, their dust, feet dust, this can, give people like inconceivable amount of, spiritual benefit. But it requires some knowledge for understanding that, Vaishnavas are not indifferent to the people suffering, but their way of helping is different from what people judge to be. That's the only difference, right? What people think is good for them, it's actually entangling them more and more, because they want to counteract bad karma with good karma, but both makes you born again. That we have to understand. Good karma makes you born again. And the only way not to born again is to perform bhakti. Bhakti has no karma. Bhakti has no reaction in the material world. Bhakti only rewards you spiritual merits. Okay, so let's continue here then. So a Vaishnava is naturally endowed with all good characteristics and is devoid of all vice. It is stated in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sarva Maha Guna Gana Vaishnava Sharire Krishna Bhakti Krishnera Guna Sakali Sanchare. Madhya-lila 22:75. All exalted virtues reside in the body of a Vaishnava. All the transcendental qualities of Krishna are transmitted to his bhakta. Vidhi dharmachari bhaje Krishnera charan nishida papachare tara kobu naheman. Madhya-lila 22:142. Means a Vaishnava exclusively worships Shri Krishna's lotus feet. So even though he casts aside the regulative principles and conduct prescribed for the discharge of Varnashram Dharma, his mind is never tainted by the inclination to engage in prohibited sinful activities. So it means he can give up the prescriptions of regulations of Dharma Shastra and like how to follow properly Varnashram Dharma. He can give up that. He may not follow it. But does not mean that he's engaging in the opposite activities. Aganyava hoy jadi papa upastit Krishna tare shuddha kore na koroi prayaschit. Madhya-lila 22:143. If, however, a Vaishnava somehow unknowingly becomes implicated in sinful activity, Krishna does not make him undergo the ordained method of atonement, but personally purifies him instead. So Krishna will never make the Vaishnava have to undergo any type of penance or atonement described in Karma Kanda section. Krishna himself will purify that devotee in case he commits some type of sins in the course of his practice. Jnana Vairagyadi Bhaktir Kabu Nahayanga Ahimsa Yama Niyamadi Bule Krishna Bhakta Sangha. Madhya-lila 22:145. Never mistake the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation as limbs of bhakti in their own right. For all good qualities such as gentleness, control over the mind and senses, and appropriate renunciation automatically accompany the Krishna Bhaktas. I'm going to read again the beginning. Never mistake the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation, means jnana and vairagya, as a limbs of bhakti. It's not. Because all the good qualities is already there in the Krishna Bhaktas. Jnana and vairagya are what? Results of bhakti, right? Not the cause of bhakti. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Joga Prayojita Janayati Ashuvaragyam Gyanan Chadahaitukam. Very important verse. In the very beginning, when the Shaunakarishi and others are asking questions to Sutta Goswami, first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one of the answer is that. So in that verse, Sutta Goswami is saying, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Joga Prayojita Janaya Shuyachu Varagyam Gyanam Chadahaitukam. Means The true results of bhakti are jnana and vairagya, means transcendental knowledge and renunciation. You don't need to become fully renounced to get bhakti. On the contrary, when you get bhakti, you'll be able to renounce everything. You don't need to become fully conversant in the scriptures to get bhakti. But when you get bhakti, automatically you have all the spiritual knowledge revealed in your heart. So that is the hope for all of us, right? Because sometimes we think, oh, bhakti is so difficult. How can I be so renounced? How can I be so knowledgeable to get this? No, it is a mistake. It's not like so. You just have to first surrender to your guru, follow the instructions he gives, chant Harinam. That's it. Then you get bhakti. Bhakti comes from where? Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Bhakti comes from bhakti. And who has bhakti? The devotees. Guru and Vaishnavas. Serve them wholeheartedly. Follow their instructions and chant Harinam. Bas. And off. No need to think about anything else. Everything will come automatically. Automatically. Understanding of Bhakti Tattva, desire to renounce material enjoyment, everything comes in proper time. If you do a separate endeavor for renunciation or for knowledge, you're going to fail. Fail in bhakti, fail in renunciation, and fail in proper knowledge. I'm not saying that, I'm not comparing, for example, you study books, and I'm not saying about that. I'm saying in a deeper sense, memorizing all the 4 Vedas, becoming a scholar in Vedanta, learning all Sanskrit things, in a large sense, I'm saying, Of course, we have to read, we have to somehow endeavor, to here and there learn. But this is a basic thing. This is not what is being expressed as the goal to be that jnana, as the goal to be that renunciation. It's not that. So in this way, our real endeavor should be to serve Guru and please Guru and Vaishnavas and chant Harinam. Apart from that, our perfection can be easily attained by their mercy and by their bhakti, which is transferred from their heart in our heart. When the son of Prema, coming from Swarup Shakti, is reflected in the heart of the pure devotee, then that reflection comes to us. This is how bhakti manifests. But bhakti also, try to understand, not in the absolute sense, because the jiva already has potency for bhakti. Jiva is Krishna Nitya Das. But the capacity of using that is what we call that bhakti which comes from Guru's mercy. That is the capacity of manifesting that. That the capacity of using that which you already have inside of yourself. Right? I'm not going to extend out of our context, but just to give some light on this topic. Okay. So next verse. Asat sangatyagai Vaishnavachar Stri Sangi Ekasadu Krishna Bhaktar. Madhya-lila 22:87. To discard the company of those who diminish one's resolve in Krishna Bhakti, Asat Sangha, is truly the natural conduct of a Vaishnava. And the most detrimental association of all is those who enjoy the company of women and the non-devotees. We can make women and men, of course, and the non-devotees, right? The day Krishna Nam appears on someone's tongue, even in a single time, we will lose all taste for sinful activities. What to speak of taste for sinful activities? You even lose interest in pious activities. This is very, very powerful. Very powerful. You're gonna lose interest in making plans for the material world. You're gonna give up the illusion that you can save humanity, that you can save people. Actually, we cannot. You cannot. So in this way, it's like that. All three classifications of Vaishnavas, namely those who are Vaishnava, those who are Vaishnavatara, and those who are Vaishnavatama, are devoid of any form of material contamination, flawless and without sin. If it is observed, however, that a person is actually inclined towards sinful activities, then he is not to be counted among the Vaishnavas. Even the Kanishta Vaishnavas have no inclination for pious or impious activities, right? So as we read before in the previous class, the definition that Mahaprabhu gave about Vaishnava is very high, right? Very, very high. So, and here we can say even Kanishta Adhikaris, they have no inclination for sinful activities or for pious activities or impious activities. This is very high. In this way, it is very difficult to actually define, someone's position in bhakti. Very difficult to judge. Very difficult. Very difficult. So therefore, we should never try to make any type of, statement or judgment of Vaishnavas. To be a Kanishta Adhikari is something really high, really high. But we can see also in Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami Pada, he has given a different definition, a little more, realistic in the sense that it's more tangible for us to understand, right? The three types of Vaishnavas there. It's more, in the practical sense, we can say, right? So next one, wicked people see faults in a Vaishnava in three ways. Pure Vaishnavas have no faults, and are therefore above criticism. But those who do criticize them just blame them and vilify them wrongly. Such wicked persons hatefully criticize the Vaishnavas in the following three ways. First one, they criticize all the faults that existed in a person before Shuddha Bhakti manifested in him. It's very, very interesting. In actual fact, as soon as Bhakti appears in one's heart, all of one's faults begin to quickly disappear. I make it clear in the sense that you have now 20 years old. Your behavior is different from what it was when you had 5 years old. And then someone comes to you, oh, when you were 5 years old, you did this, and that. Therefore, you are very bad. I said, no, I'm sorry. That person is not the same, which is standing right in front of you now. So although it is part of my history, my karmic history, and my soul was also in that body, okay, but my understanding, my consciousness is not more the same. My physical appearance also not the same. My behavior is not the same. So please, you cannot blame me, myself, in the actual position of what I did when I was 5 years old. So in the same way, Vaishnavas have achieved, somehow a very high position. And you are criticizing him. But suppose then he reaches Shuddha Bhakti. Then you can no longer criticize him about what he did, because now he's pure. So no matter what you can speak about his past, that does not affect more his present. And he should be judged by what he is now, right? So in this way, we should not criticize the faults that Vaishnava had before he entered in Shuddha Bhakti. Because once he enters Shuddha Bhakti, he has no more faults. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. If you have to be judged by everything that you did, then you're never going to be, accepted or praised by anyone. Because you can look all your previous lives, how much criticism can you get? You have made so many mistakes, right? So in this way, we should look at Vaishnavas in the present moment, what they're doing now. And this also shows your capacity of um, forgiveness, maturity, and also putting yourself in the same position, because you are going to be judged as well. But you don't want, of course, to be judged by what you did. You want to be judged by what you are, right? In the same way, some people, they may commit some crime and they go to prison, they go to jail, and they will spend some time in jail. After this, all this time has passed, he will be again observed and judged. And if he's changed, he can be released. He's not to be punished forever, but for what he did. If he has changed, he has repented, if his heart has changed, then he can be released. And he should not be seen as the one who did that. He should be seen as the one who is now recovered from that. And he should be given a second chance. If again he incurs in that same crime, again he should be punished. So what to speak of Vaishnavas? So I have seen many times Vaishnavas being so merciful, especially in ashram, in the mutt, when you have to receive, the brahmacharis there, or even sannyasis there, who perhaps have committed mistakes before, sometimes in other mutt, sometimes in any other moment of their lives. But Vaishnavas, they will give him chance, and he will give him opportunity to show that he is not more, inclined to that type of behavior. So that shows the greatness, of the Vaishnavas, and we should be also in that way. Of course, we are nobody to give mercy to anyone, but also we are nobody to judge, right? Okay, next one. Second way of finding faults in the Vaishnavas. During the period of time in which any untoward propensities are being destroyed within the Vaishnava's heart, wicked people take the opportunity to criticize him for any faults that may still remain in him. This is the famous example of the dirty man who is taking bath. You cannot blame the dirty man who is taking bath for being dirty, because he's taking bath. But the bath itself takes some time. So if you look at him in the beginning of the bath, has so many dirt. In the middle of the bath, has less dirt. By the end of the bath, very little dirt. And when the bath is finished, there is no dirt. So you can judge him during all these moments. And if you compare to the spiritual life, it may take years in a span, no time of this like transition. But the person has already accepted the process of bhakti. It means he's taking bath, he's cleaning himself, he's chanting Harinam, he's performing all the limbs of bhakti. He has accepted to be clean. He's not, happy with the previous condition. Otherwise, he would never join bhakti, because he knows that by performing bhakti, all that tendency will be washed away. It's a matter of time. You're going to be purified. You're going to be clean. You're going to be like a pure devotee soon. So in that sense, we also should not criticize the Vaishnavas, because they are submitting themselves to the treatment. So they are already great for that. It's just a matter of time, right? Another example we can also give is the fan which you have unplugged from the outlet, the current. It's still going to be running for some time, but it's not anymore connected to the house powerhouse. So what will happen? That fan is bound to stop. It cannot remain spinning. So in the same way, devotees who have accepted the path of bhakti, they should not be criticized by anything, because they are already being disconnected themselves from those previous standard of life, and they accepted to become pure and clean. That's one of the most difficult things to do, right? Because we have the tendency to judge from the external point of view of who is that person, what he's doing. Of course, if someone does something bad, we must check it we must, prevent it. We must, try to somehow, manage the situation. Of course, we're not going to people become like anarchy. Anyone can do whatever they want. It's not like that. But the level of tolerance, it's much greater. The level of patience is much greater, and the level of forgiveness also is much greater. Much greater. There is a pastime when Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he went to one of his martyrs in, I guess in central India, Madhya Pradesh or so. He asked for one brahmachari who was there before. Where is he? And the temple president mentioned, oh, we kicked him out because he somehow had some relation with one lady. He met with one lady, and with them kicked him out. Oh, Srila Prabhupada was so upset. Srila Prabhupada said, you must bring him here. Otherwise, I'm fasting until he comes. And then when he came, Srila Prabhupada asked him, what happened? Say, oh, I did this, I did that. Therefore, they kicked me out. Srila Prabhupada say, do you want to come? Do you want to stay? Do you want to do your bhajan? He say, yes. That was just my, some type of mistake I made. I just, like I slept from my path, my discipline. But I want to do bhajan. I want to do bhakti. And then Srila Prabhupada said, okay, you stay here. And then Srila Prabhupada told the temple president and the other devotees, look, I am spending gallons of blood to take someone out of Maya. And because of one small mistake, you send them back to Maya. Then what hope they have? What hope? So you have to be able to deal with all these things and keep them here as much as you can, because only here they can be cured. If you send them away, there is no way of curing them. So what is our mission? Is to take people out of Maya. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, Gaudiya is like a hospital. They come here for treatment. No one here is healthy, perfect. Everyone is sick. Everyone has some defects, some problems, and they have to be treated. So you cannot judge the patient when he's under treatment. He has accepted the treatment. Therefore, he has to be judged by that. If in between he is making any mistake, it has to be tolerated and accepted, and again, pushed forward. I have seen that in Gurudev's behavior as well. Of course, everything has a limit, of course. It depends also in the person's sincerity and the real desire for doing that. If he repeats that, many times, of course, it shows that he's not willing to change, and that also becomes detrimental to, like the whole harmony in that place, of course. But it has a limit. Shamarani Didi also, she many times mentioned, tolerance has a limit. For example, Mahaprabhu, he kicked out that servant of him, I think was Krishna Das, his name, right? Who went to meet with the gypsy girl in the very beginning, right? I think his name was Krishna Das. Mahaprabhu also rejected him. Also with Chuttahari Das, Mahaprabhu had no tolerance as well. But these things are Mahaprabhu's will, right? He had with Jagai and Madai. So in so many things like that. So I have seen with Srila Gurudeva also. I don't want to mention any specific case and any names, but there is a what to say, emblematic case in our mission in Gurudev Sangha, of one sannyasi who many times has entered into mistakes like that, and Gurudeva forgave many times. But Gurudev also warned him. Gurudev said, look, while I am here, I'm somehow protecting and then also encouraging you. But once I will go, if you again will do that, then no one can protect you and you're going to be checked. You're going to be exposed and punished. And that happened. That happened. So in this way, we cannot play also with Vaishnava's tolerance and patience. We should be, very also aware that they can also punish. They cannot send away. They can also do many things. And that is good for us. So, but anyway, our topic here is criticism. Although they have to take such actions, although we may not associate more with these people, but do not criticize. That's the point. If you criticize what will happen, you create a bridge between that person and you, and those bad qualities come to you, and your good qualities go to him or to her. This is very critical thing. very, subtle thing. But by the end of the article, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's going to justify when we can criticize and how we can criticize in a proper way. Okay? So let us continue here because it's very interesting. The time is over and I really want to finish today this one. So third one is, although an exalted Vaishnava is never inclined toward faulty behavior, sometimes, due to the divine providence, someone unwarranted conduct may be observed in him. Though such faulty behavior can never remain a permanent habit in the Vaishnava, weak people still criticize him for it. In this way, these heartless people lead themselves to their own doom by committing the wicked deed of blasphemia Vaishnava. Therefore, the book Namatattvaratnamala, it is said, one should never reflect upon the fault of a bhakta, namely, those that were present in him before bhakti awakened in him, those that temporarily remain during the time when his heart is purified through his practice of bhakti, and those that may appear in him accidentally due to providence. One who reflects upon any of these faults, not with a good-hearted purpose, but rather with slanderous intent, is a blasphemer of saints and is extremely degraded. Just came to my mind the figure of Bhima Thakur. Perhaps all of you have heard about him. He had a very illicit relation with a prostitute, and but that prostitute herself sent him to Vrindavan, Chintamani, and he decided to go, and he went. And despite of all his, sins and many things like that, he achieved perfection. So how can we judge? In that life, very simple person has become a pure devotee. So he should not be never criticized by what he did. Next one. Criticism of a Vaishnava's previous faults is abominable. O readers, any faults that were present in a Vaishnava before the one set of bhakti should never be reflected upon, unless there is some good-hearted purpose in doing so. A Vaishnava should not be criticized for the insignificant remnants of his previous faults. This is why Shri Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita 9:30-31, Apiche suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak. Sadureva samantavya samyag vyavasito hisa. Kshiprang bhavati dharmatma saswachanti nigachati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasati. Even a man of abominable character who engages in loving service performed with one-pointed dedication, Nanya Bhajan, to me, is still to be considered as saint due to being rightly situated in bhakti. He quickly becomes virtuous and attains eternal peace. O Kaunteya, declare it boldly that my bhakta never perishes. So Krishna made Arjuna declare it publicly. Namya bhakta pranasyati. My bhakta will never perish. Means he should never be condemned by what he's doing or by what he did because he's my bhakta. It's also a very challenging, type of situation. But that verse says, even if the person has committed the most abominable acts, if he's one pointed to Krishna, he should still be called sadhu. Very difficult, very tough point to be accepted. But it's interesting to notice that Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, he made one good statement. He said, it is okay for any type of bhajaniya, means any type of devotee who is performing bhajan, but not for a guru. Guru cannot have faults. Otherwise, he's not the guru. Acharya can never have faults. So in that case, this verse cannot apply to guru. Can apply to any Vaishnava, any sannyasi, any brahmachari, any grihastha, anyone, but not to guru. Next one. It is offensive to criticize a Vaishnava for his warning faults or for any fault that appears by providence. This is also a very important point. What is this providence? How providence can make you commit any bad action? By the influence of bhakti, all the extremely abominable kinds of behavior that may have existed in one's heart before the awakening of bhakti and have gradually become one's acquired nature, diminish day by day and are finally destroyed within a very short time. Therefore, criticizing a Vaishnava without a virtuous motive because of the presence of such waning faults results in a Vaishnava aparad. Even if one observes some accidental fault in a Vaishnava that occurs due to divine providence, one should still not criticize him. In this context, sage Karabhajana has said, Swapada mulam bhajata priyasya taktani abhavasya hari parisha vikarma ya chopatitam katanchid dunoti sarvam ridi sanivishta. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:542. That person who engages in exclusive bhajan of the lotus feet of Sri Bhagavan, having left all else, is most dear to him. Even if the tendency to engage in some sinful, forbidden act somehow appears in his heart, Parameshwara Sri Hari, who resides directly within his heart, not only destroys those tendencies, but also removes any reaction that would have come as a result of having committed some sin. Now came to my mind the situation of the Babajis, Babajis, right? Why we are criticizing them when they are engaging in illicit relations with widows or with ladies and they try to perform Rasa Lila. Is it not the same? No, it's not the same. Why? Because they are doing deliberately as part of their sadhana. Understand? It's not that they have fall into some type of, weakness of the heart, some type of hridaya durbalya, or anything like that. Some anartha has catch them and they, by uncontrolled nature, they have associated with the opposite sex. It's not like so. And they also not repented. They're also not denying. They made that the structure of their sadhana bhajan. Therefore, we criticize them. Understand? So that's the difference. Because sometimes we also may become like sentimental. Oh, where we are criticizing the Babaji Sahajiyas, no practice Sahajiyas. They are also engaged full-time in bhajan. They chant 3 lakhs every day. They live in Radha Kunda. Why? They are also one-pointed. No, it's not the same case. Not at all the same case. Okay? So the underlying principle is that wrongly blaming and criticizing Vaishnava for any of the faults just mentioned, which fit into 3 categories, leads to nama aparad, offenses against the holy name. If one commits nama aparad, a spurti means divine revelation of nama will never take place. And without such spurtis, it is not possible to become a Vaishnava. Now I'm bringing some also good point is that we are talking about here pure Vaishnavas, okay? Not anyone. We are talking about Vaishnavas in whom Shuddha Bhakti has appeared. Once Srila Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj, he mentioned like this, you know, Vaishnava Parada is very dangerous, but also very difficult to commit, because to find a Vaishnava is very rare. To find a pure devotee is very rare. So therefore, real Vaishnava Parada is also very rare. But the thing is, we may not know who is who. And by seeing some faults, you may think, oh, he's not a pure Vaishnava, but he may be in the way to become. Maybe Shuddha Bhakti already appeared, but you cannot see that. You only see the faults which still remains in him. And then you think, oh, he's not. And then you criticize. And then this is your, mistake. So we should not criticize. So by that, we should try to avoid anyone. Even the new person, even a non-Vaishnava, so just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. You can avoid that association, no problem. You should not, of course, be there. It's not a problem. To reject is not an offense. Offense is to blaspheme and criticize, but not to give up that association. That you can do, no problem, But for example, if that person comes to your door and say, I'm hungry, please give me food. Okay, no problem. You give food. Give prasad and then go away. Don't invite, don't associate, don't hear from, but also don't become like, cruel-hearted. If that person needs some food, you give food, no problem. That's the way we should, somehow react. The next one, the faults of others can be deliberated upon if one has a virtuous motive. Now comes the end of the article when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning that there is a way of speaking about others' mistake. If you have a virtuous motive, a good motive. At this point, an opposing argument may arise. Would it be appropriate to deliberate on a fault found in a Vaishnava that is not counted among the 3 types of faults just mentioned? The answer is that no fault other than these 3 can exist in a Vaishnava. If someone has faults that do not fit into one of these 3 types, then according to the revealed scriptures, they cannot be called Vaishnavas. We should consider that without the right motive, it is inappropriate to reflect even impartially upon the faults of any living being, what to speak of Vaishnavas. To blaspheme Vaishnavas is an offense, but even blaspheming other jivas is a sin. And this is also a good difference. To blaspheme jiva is a sin, to blaspheme Vaishnava is aparad. Vaishnavas have no interest in performing such a sinful act. However, provided one has the right motive, the scriptures have not condemned a careful critique of someone's faults. So here comes the proper motive, like the 3 types of motives that you may have to criticize, in a good way, any Vaishnava behavior or fault. Means desiring the welfare of the person criticized, desiring the welfare of the world, and desiring one's own welfare. First one, the intention in analyzing someone's sins is to ensure that he attains his ultimate welfare. Then such reflection is auspicious. So you're going to advise that person with a good heart, desiring the best for that person. You can call, okay, let us discuss your behavior. Let us reflect upon it and see if you did good or bad, if that is favorable or unfavorable. And let us change this, because you're going to be benefited by that. So in this way, you can critique and analyze, reflect upon that fault. Second, if the motive behind reflecting on someone's sins is to benefit the whole world, then this is to be counted as an auspicious act. So your desire is not to just make that person unpopular, or just to spread rumors, and defame him. No. You are warning the whole world about that danger. You say, oh, on that hole, there is a snake. Don't put your hand there. You're not against the snake to exist. You are helping the people not to be bite by that snake. So if you have that true, genuine desire, so that's okay. And third one is, if such reflection is undertaken for one's own spiritual welfare, then it too is auspicious. There is no fault in such reflection. When one reflects upon the historical accounts of personalities like Valmiki or Jagai and Madhai, in light of one or more of these three virtuous motives, then such reflection is never the cause of incurring sin. When a disciple humbly asks his spiritual master to instruct him on how to identify a Vaishnava, the spiritual master, desiring the welfare of his disciple and of the whole world, explains that those who exhibit unholy behavior are non-Vaishnavas. He thus points out how to identify true Vaishnavas through antithesis or comparison. With the motive of encouraging one to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of a true Vaishnava by abandoning false so-called preachers of religion, one neither risks committing blasphemy of sense nor Vaishnava parad. In such cases, even criticism direct to a specific person is free from fault. These are all examples of criticizing with the proper motive. Okay? Either Vaishnavas or either non-Vaishnavas, other religions, and other things like. For example, I'll give a very clear example. We have in our Sangha one sannyasi, his name is Vishnu Maharaj from America. And Vishnu Maharaj was my good friend when he was a brahmachari. His name was Jiva Priya Brahmachari. And he taught me so many things in Bengal preaching. He was the leader of my group in Bengal village. I think I told you some stories about my Bengal preaching. And then I learned, everything I know nowadays. And Maharaj was wonderful, very young, 22 years old, so qualified, very learned, speaking Bengali, Hindi, very good kata, very good kirtan, everything pakka. And he was awarded sannyas by Gurudev when he was 23, even before Mahaprabhu's age. After that, he simply changed completely. He let his hair grow. He started wearing a yellow cloth. And he begins to do all types of things, out of our tradition. So many strange things. And it became a type of discussion, But when we discussed about him, we are not trying to, put him in a type of judgmental, position, but we are thinking like him as our, family member. And even in Bengal preaching, he used to call me as a mother, because at the time he was sick, he had malaria twice, and his liver was totally destroyed, and he had to have a different diet from the Bengali cooking. So I was cooking for him. I was, doing many things like menial services for him. And so he used to call me as a mother, So I still have that feeling, So when I look to him in that position, I say, my God, what are you doing? Get out from this type of thing, because this is not our Gaudiya tradition. And he became somehow like bewildered. And he said, I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to do this, to do that. And he made a book, he wanted to become like the bestseller book. And it was all a fail. All failed. And he was begging for money on Facebook. And he spent thousands of dollars in this project, thousands of this and that, recording videos, this, meeting with Hollywood, people, this and that, and it all failed, because Gurudev is not going to support that. So when we are discussing these things on Facebook or anything, this is for his benefit. No one wants to destroy him. No one wants to, think he should, go to hell. Nothing like that. We have extreme, genuine love and affection, and we want to to show him, look, you're not going to the right way. Get out of this way. Come back to what you were before. As a very traditional Gaudiya Vaishnava. And then you can succeed in your preaching, your life. Money will not be a problem for you at all. But once he engaged in all these things, gradually his bhakti decreased, his money decreased, everything. His health, everything. So with a good mood, we discuss this matter because this is a common matter. He's a public person. I'm not revealing any type of secret, of him. It's a public thing, and he was, proud of that, and many people were like warning him, get out from this. This is not the way, like that. Okay, just next one. To abandon bad association and to accept association of devotees. O readers, you must all contemplate this profound subject with the utmost care. As an irrevocably established principle, you must offer all respect to true Vaishnavas and invariably abandon the association of non-devotees. If you want to criticize the true Vaishnavas, the existential reality of the holy name will not manifest in one's heart. Thus, the instruction has been given in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:26-27. Tato du sangam ustrijja satsu sajet buddhimam santayevasa chindanti mano vyasangam uktivi. For all these reasons, intelligent people reject detrimental association and associate instead with saintly persons. This is because saintly personalities, with their powerful and virtuous instructions, cut unholy material attachments from the heart and thus dispel all the distress they cause. It is only possible for a Madhyamadikari to serve saintly persons and unrighteous activity is corrupting. Next topic. You should not think that by serving a non-devotee, considering him to be a saint, you will get the benefit serving a true saint. The reason the Madhyama Vaishnava, as mentioned before, is the only one who is able to truly serve saints, means Madhyamadikaris, is because the Kanishta Vaishnava is not yet inclined towards serving saints, while the Uttama Vaishnava does not see the difference between a saintly man and unsaintly one. Okay, I think all of you are aware of this understanding of, Kanishtas have more inclination towards worship the deities, not serving much Vaishnavas. Uttamas cannot differentiate, and only Madhyamas can differentiate. Therefore, he serves properly the Uttamadikaris as well as the Kanishadikaris as well. O readers, Madhyama Vaishnavas and are therefore duty bound to search out and identify. You are Madhyama Vaishnavas and are therefore duty bound to search out and identify a saint and then befriend him. It is also your duty to shower mercy upon those who are non-devotees, or in some cases, neglect them. You will be at fault if you abandon your own adhikar. I don't know if he's speaking to me, but maybe to you, but I don't fit myself in that at all. He's addressing the readers. So all of you are the readers, so the instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam in regard to vice and virtue is this. Swe dikare yanishta saguna parikritita viparyastu doshasyad ubayor esha nishtaya. 11:21-2. Steadfastness is carrying out the duties of one's own. Rightful position is declared to be a good quality, whereas deviation from the duties of one's position is considered a fault. In this way, the two are clearly ascertained. Even if you unintentionally fall into bad association, you will become an offender to bhakti, as said in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:23-55. Sango ya sansmritir hitur asatsu vihitodhya sa eva sadhu shukrito nisangatavaya kalpate. Even if someone falls into ungodly association due to his ignorance, such association still leads to degradation. But in the same way, even if someone finds himself in the association of saintly persons accidentally, such saintly association very easily leads him away from bad association and cuts his worldly attachment. The Uttama Bhakta's glory of seeing everyone as saints is proclaimed in the holy books, such as Bhaktamala and Prapanamrita. However, such conduct should never be imitated by a Madhyama Vaishnava. For a Madhyama Vaishnava, such behavior will lead to the fault known as Anadhikara Chesta, means not acting in accordance with one's eligibility or position. And he would rapidly become degraded as a consequence. May the Shuddha Bhaktas mercifully deem our discussion of all these subjects to have been properly motivated. So this was translated from the Gaudiya Patrika, year 7, issue 10, by the Rays of the Harmonist team. Published in English for the first time in Rays of the Harmonist, number 20, Kartika, 2009. So very beautiful article of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, very nice. And so we are very fortunate to have access to such, valuable information. And that by that, I hope all of us can improve our bhajan, our practice, and in that way avoid all types of offenses, to the Vaishnavas that can really destroy our bhakti. Okay, so we're going to stop here. Hare Krishna.